This is Meet Sean, where we break down real life topics insurance, annuities, real estate, travel planning, and home ownership so you can make smarter moves. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
You know that feeling. It's maybe 11:30 at night. The house is totally quiet and you're just doom scrolling through whatever the app of the week is.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. And suddenly you stop. You see it. It's some clever kitchen gadget or a custom designed t-shirt or maybe this really sleek, eco-friendly water bottle. And your brain whispers that dangerous little phrase.
I could do that.
Exactly. I could do that. You think, I could sell that. I could totally build a brand around that. But then, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes later, reality kicks in.
The caffeine wears off.
The caffeine wears off, and you start thinking about shipping logistics and payment gateways and tax codes in countries you've literally never visited. And you put the phone down and go to sleep.
It's analysis paralysis. It really is the dream killer. Because the vision is there, but the execution just feels like you need a dual degree in computer science and international trade law just to, sell a pair of socks.
It feels like an absolute mountain. But that is exactly why we're here today. We are doing a deep dive to shatter that myth.
Love it. Let's do it.
We've got a great stack of research today. We're pulling from a really comprehensive guide on the 7 key steps to launch and coupling that with a forward-looking analysis called Best E-commerce Platforms for Beginners in 2026.
Those are 2 fantastic sources. Very grounded.
Yeah, and the mission for this deep dive is simple. We want to take you, the listener, from I have a vague idea to I have a functional store without the panic attack.
A shortcut, basically.
For shortcut, exactly. And we're doing this specifically through the lens of right now, the landscape as it exists in 2026.
Which is a critical distinction to make right up front, because if you're using a playbook from, say, 2023, let alone 2020, you are already miles behind. The landscape has totally shifted under our feet.
So let's set that scene. Before we even talk about picking a product or, designing a cute logo, what does the e-commerce world actually look like today?
It's faster. It's smarter, and honestly, it is a lot more demanding. If you look at the macro trends defining the market right now, mobile domination is absolute.
But we've been hearing mobile first for a decade, right? Is it really that different now?
It is, yeah, because in the early 20s, mobile first just meant your desktop site didn't look completely broken on a phone.
Right, the text just fit the screen.
Exactly. But in 2026, it's all about the thumb zone. It's about one-click ordering and totally seamless mobile payments. If a customer has to pinch or zoom or, heaven forbid, manually type in their 16-digit credit card number,
You've lost them.
you've completely lost them. The patience threshold is effectively 0.
Nobody has time to get up and find their physical wallet anymore.
Precisely. And then you have the social aspect, social commerce. The lines are just gone now.
You mean between social media and the actual store?
Right. You aren't just scrolling Instagram or Facebook, seeing an ad and then clicking a link to go to some separate slow-loading website. The social platform is the store. The entire checkout happens right there in the feed.
Which is a little scary for privacy, but obviously incredible for conversion rates.
Unbelievably good for conversions.
I also noticed the sources really highlighted sustainability.
Yeah.
And that feels like it's moved from just being a nice-to-have marketing slogan to a strict must-have.
It's a primary demand driver now. The data shows consumers in 2026 are actively filtering for brands that care. Eco-friendly packaging, carbon-neutral shipping options. It's not just about saving the polar bears anymore.
It's saving your conversion rate.
It really is. If you send a tiny little product in a massive box stuffed full of styrofoam, you are getting a 1-star review, period.
And finally, the big one we can't escape in any deep dive these days, AI and personalization.
The ultimate buzzwords of the century. But practically speaking, we're at a point where the store needs to predict what the customer wants before they even know they want it.
So it's about tailoring the experience.
Exactly. It has to feel like the shop was built just for that specific person.
Okay, so that is the arena we're playing in. High tech, high expectations, extremely low patience. So let's get into the actual how-to. Phase 1, the strategy. Because you can't just throw spaghetti at the wall and hope it sells.
Please don't do that. That is a very expensive way to fail.
Well, the sources are adamant about finding a niche. But find a niche is advice everyone gives. How do you actually go about doing it?
First, you have to stop trying to be Amazon. The days of the generic general store where you sell phone cases and dog toys and spatulas are dead. You need a specific audience.
All right.
The guide suggests using tools like Google Trends, which is obvious, but you have to use it to find the intersection of demand and passion.
See, I always struggle with the passion part of that advice. Does it really matter if I personally love the widgets I'm selling?
It absolutely matters when things get hard, because they will get hard. If you're selling generic garden hoses and you hate gardening, you're going to quit when that first big shipping delay happens.
That makes sense.
But if you love obscure Japanese tea sets, you'll fight for that business. You'll figure it out. But passion isn't enough on its own. You need what I call competitor espionage.
Ooh, spycraft. I like it. Are we talking digital binoculars here?
Basically, yes. It's the most valuable research you can do. The source material emphasizes analyzing the competition, but not to copy them. You do it to find the holes in their armor.
So you're looking at their pricing and stuff.
So you look at pricing, sure, but the real gold mine, customer reviews.
To see what people love about the product.
No, to see what people hate. You go to your competitor site or their Amazon listings, and you filter strictly for the 1-star and 2-star reviews. Read what they say.
Like shipping was way too slow.
Right. Shipping was too slow. The zipper broke after a week. Customer service totally ghosted me.
So that becomes your roadmap.
Exactly. That is your unique value proposition just waiting to happen. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to fix the flat tire on the other guy's car.
That's a great way to put it.
You differentiate by solving the specific things your competitors are actively failing at.
That's brilliant because you're solving a problem that's already been validated by someone else's failure. Okay, so we have a niche. We know our angle. Now we need the actual physical stuff. Sourcing.
Right. The sources mention the classic avenues. Trade shows are still great for face-to-face trust building.
But let's be real, most people are starting online.
Of course. Most people start with online directories like Alibaba or Thomas Baronet. They are the engines of modern sourcing.
But it's not just clicking add to cart on a supplier, right? I feel like that's where people get burned. They order 500 units and surprise the quality is garbage.
It's a huge risk. You have to vet these suppliers. Deep checks. You need to negotiate prices and, crucially, ensure quality. Order samples.
And test them.
Yes, and when you get the sample, don't just look at it and say, oh, pretty, break it, wash it, drop it on the concrete floor.
Really stress test it.
Exactly. Because if the product is fundamentally bad, no amount of brilliant marketing is going to save you. Reliable suppliers really are the unsung heroes of a smooth operation.
Okay, let's assume we have the product and plan. Now we enter the part that usually makes people close their laptops and quit. Phase 2, the tech stack.
Ah, the belly of the beast.
The sources break down what they call the big 3 platforms for 2026. And reading through it, it seems like the right choice really depends on who you are as a founder, right?
That's the absolute best way to look at it. It's a spectrum of control versus convenience.
Let's start with Shopify. The source calls it the powerhouse for small business.
It really is. If you want to start fast, this is it. It's the user-friendly giant. It has a great app store, integrated shipping, 204/7 support.
And it builds trust out of the box.
Massive trust. Because the checkout is secure and familiar. When a customer sees that standard Shopify checkout screen, they instinctively know their credit card is safe. It's kind of like buying a move-in ready condo.
But we have to talk money. The basic plan is around $29 to maybe $300 a month, depending on the tier.
That's the sticker price, yes. But, and this is a really big but, you have to watch the transaction fees.
Ah, the hidden costs trap the guide warned about.
It's the silent killer of margins. On those basic plans, you're looking at something like 2.9% plus 30 cents on every single sale.
Which hurts if you're selling a $5 item.
It eats your lunch. Plus, you have the cost of paid apps. It all adds up very fast.
Okay, so that's the convenience option. Then we have WooCommerce.
The flexible option, this one is built on WordPress.
So it's a bit more technical.
Definitely. If you're the type of person who wants absolute control over every single pixel on the screen, or you have some coding background, this is your playground.
And the sources point out the software is free.
Free is a very loaded word in software. The base software is free, yes. But you have to pay for hosting. You pay for security plugins. You pay for premium extensions.
So it's more like a build-it-yourself kit versus the condo.
Exactly. You save on monthly subscription fees, but you pay in time and maintenance. If your site breaks at 3 a.m. on Black Friday, you are the IT department.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It can be.
Okay, and finally the third one, BigCommerce.
BigCommerce is the enterprise option. It's incredibly robust. It has a ton of features, like advanced SEO tools and ratings features that you'd have to pay extra for as add-on apps on Shopify.
So who is that for?
It's great if you plan on scaling up rapidly right out of the gate, or if you're selling across multiple channels, like pushing your inventory to Amazon, eBay, and Instagram all at once.
So how do you actually choose between the three?
Rule of thumb, if you have a budget but no tech skills, Shopify. If you have tech skills but a tight budget, WooCommerce.
And if you have big volume ambitions from day one?
BigCommerce. But regardless of what you pick, you have to budget for growth. As your sales increase, your costs increase. Run the math on your margins before you sign up for anything.
Sound advice. Let's move on to phase 3, the build. You've picked your platform. Now you have to actually make it look like a real business. And the source heavily emphasizes storefront design.
It has to be clean, responsive across all devices, and incredibly easy to navigate. That's just the baseline to even play the game.
Because if a customer can't find the Add to Cart button in 2 seconds,
they're gone. But the real magic of the build isn't just the layout, it's the product listing.
which is something I think people really overlook. They just slap up a generic photo from the manufacturer and type in a price tag.
And that is exactly why they fail. On an e-commerce site, the product listing is your salesperson. Since the customer can't pick up the product and feel it, the images and the text have to do all the heavy lifting.
So we're talking high-quality images, multiple angles.
Video, if you can get it.
Yeah.
But the text is where people really miss the mark. The text needs to tell a story. It needs to be SEO friendly, sure, but it needs an emotional hook.
The source gave a really great example of this. Instead of just writing Gold Watch, you write something like, our exclusive watch collections is designed to make a statement.
Yes, because you aren't really selling a piece of metal that tells time. You're selling a feeling. You're selling status.
You're selling the person the buyer wants to be.
That emotional hook is the literal difference between a browser and a buyer.
Okay, now let's pivot to the less sexy side of the build, but arguably the most important, trust. How do you convince a total stranger to type their credit card number into a website they just discovered 5 minutes ago?
Well, in 2026, security isn't just an IT problem anymore. It is a marketing feature. You absolutely need SSL certificates.
That's the little padlock icon in the browser URL bar, right?
Right. It encrypts the data. If you don't have that, modern browsers will literally pop up a massive red screen warning the user this site is unsafe.
That's an instant conversion killer.
Game over immediately. And then there's PCI compliance. That is the mandatory standard for handling credit cards safely.
And what about trust badges?
Crucial. Literally displaying those little icons near the checkout that say secure checkout or verified by Visa. It psychologically allows the customer to relax. It signals to them, hey, we play by the rules here.
Speaking of rules, we have to touch on the legal stuff. The sources list a veritable alphabet soup of regulations.
The boring but critical stuff. You have the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act.
Wait, does that apply even if I'm running my business out of Ohio?
Even if you are in Ohio, if your customer is browsing from California, you have to respect their data rights under California law.
Wow. And then GDPR if you sell to anyone in Europe.
Exactly. Then you have the CPSA, the Consumer Product Safety Act, which is huge if you're selling physical goods, and the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act.
Why does all this matter so much for a tiny, small startup? Can't you just sort of fly under the radar until you're making big money?
No, please do not try that. 2 reasons. First, the fines. You really don't want regulatory bodies coming after you. But second, it's about reputation.
Compliance is a trust signal again.
Right. If you have clear terms of service, clear privacy policies, and a proper tax setup, you look like a legitimate established business, not some fly-by-night scam operation.
In taxes, the guide specifically mentions understanding sales tax and VAT.
You have to get that set up correctly from day one. If
Yeah.
you don't collect the right taxes up front, you'll still owe them later, and an audit will just completely destroy you.
Okay, taking a deep breath. We've built the store. It's beautifully designed. It's legal. It's secure. Now we hit phase 4, operations and marketing, the actual engine of the business. Let's start with the physical reality, inventory.
This is a major crossroads for every single new founder. The classic dilemma, do you do in-house fulfillment? Or do you use a 3PL?
Just to clarify, in-house means literally packing boxes in your garage or your living room, right?
Yeah, surrounded by tape and bubble wrap, which, to be fair, gives you total control. You can put a handwritten thank you note in every single box. You can sprinkle custom confetti in there if you want.
Which customers love.
They do. It's cheap, it's personal, but it completely eats your time.
And a 3PL. That's third-party logistics.
Right. You ship all your bulk inventory straight to a massive warehouse, and they store it, pick it, pack it, and ship it for you.
So you lose some of that custom unboxing experience.
Right. You do, and it costs money. But what you gain is scalability.
Yeah.
Think about it. If a TikTok video goes viral and you get 500 orders overnight, a 3PL handles it without breaking a sweat. If you're in your garage,
You're crying.
you're crying, and you're not sleeping for 3 days.
Fair point. And the source also mentions shipping and returns. I feel like new business owners just hate thinking about returns. They just want to pretend they aren't going to happen.
They do, but that is a massive mistake. A clear, generous returns policy is actually a loyalty builder.
How so?
Because if a customer knows they can return an item easily without a hassle, they are significantly more likely to buy it in the first place. It lowers the perceived risk for them.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about getting actual eyeballs on the store. Marketing. The sources outline this marketing triad.
The holy trinity of e-commerce.
Yeah.
SEO, social media, and email.
Let's break those down. SEO, search engine optimization. Is this still just cramming keywords onto a page?
No, the algorithms are way too smart for that now. It's all about intent. The guide talks about long-tail keywords.
Give me an example of that.
Well, don't just try to rank your site for the word shoes. You are never going to beat Nike or Zappos. Instead, you optimize for something like vegan leather running shoes for flat feet.
So very specific phrases that have less competition.
Exactly. The search volume is lower, but the intent to buy is so much higher. If someone types that exact phrase into a search engine, they literally have their credit card out. They know exactly what they want.
And what about social media? We touched on the in-feed checkouts earlier, but what is the actual content strategy there?
It's not just broadcasting anymore. A lot of brands fail because they just post a polished picture of their product and walk away. You have to engage.
The source mentions using a content calendar.
Yes, so you're consistent. But mostly, it's about responding to comments, creating polls, being human. You're trying to build a community, not just an audience you shout at.
And the third leg of the marketing stool, email, is email. Dead. I feel like I've been hearing email is dead since about 2010.
It's not even close to dead. It is still consistently the highest ROI channel for e-commerce. It is vital for nurturing leads. But the key feature in 2026 isn't just blasting out a weekly newsletter. It's automation.
Like the automated flows.
Exactly. You set up these flows once, and they just work for you forever in the background. If someone adds an item to their cart, gets distracted, and leaves your site...
They get an email an hour later saying, hey, you forgot this.
Right.
It's a little creepy, but I guess it's effective.
It's incredibly effective. That one automation alone, the abandoned cart flow, can recover something like 10 to 15% of your lost revenue. That is basically free money you were just leaving on the table.
Wow. And underpinning all this marketing and operations is customer service. The guide highlights a quote from Jeff Bezos about being customer-centric.
Yeah, we're not just a company, we're a customer-centric organization. In 2026, 2047 support is rapidly becoming the gold standard.
Even for small businesses.
Yes, because you can use AI chatbots to handle the basic repetitive questions like where is my order or what's your return policy. That frees up the human founders to handle the complex, nuanced issues.
And loyalty programs tie into that, right?
Definitely. Point systems, VIP tiers, exclusive early access offers, that keeps people on the hook. Because fundamentally, it is so much cheaper to keep an existing customer happy than to constantly pay to acquire a new one.
Okay, so you're up and running, you're selling, you're shipping, people are happy. Now we hit phase 5, scaling up.
Yeah.
How do we grow this thing without it exploding?
You have to stop acting on your gut feeling and start actively looking at the data. The source points to tools like Google Analytics. But here's the crucial warning. Don't just stare at your sales number.
Why not? I mean, sales are the whole point of the business, aren't they?
Sales are a vanity metric.
Really?
Yes. They tell you what happened, but they tell you absolutely nothing about why it happened. You need to look at conversion rates. What percentage of the people who visit your site actually buy something?
So if you have massive traffic but terrible conversion, something is fundamentally wrong.
Exactly. Maybe the checkout flow is glitchy, or the photos look cheap. You also need to track customer satisfaction scores. If you have high sales this month but terrible satisfaction scores, you have a product quality problem.
And your business is a ticking time bomb.
It really is, because a wave of bad reviews and chargebacks is coming for you.
Okay, so once you truly understand the data and your foundation is solid, then you expand.
Right. Then you look at launching new products, specifically based on what your current customers are asking for in their feedback. Or you look at new markets.
Expanding geographically.
Geographic expansion to Europe or Asia, sure. Or pivoting your marketing to target an entirely new demographic.
And according to the sources, what's the real secret weapon for scaling gracefully?
Automation, again. Using technology to handle your inventory stock levels, your order processing, your customer tagging.
Basically automating all the repetitive stuff.
Yes, so that you, the owner, can actually focus on high-level strategy. There's a great Stephen Covey concept. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities.
That's a great mindset.
Automation clears your schedule so you can actually be a CEO instead of just being a professional boxbacker.
So let's recap this whole journey. It starts with finding a niche, finding something you're passionate about, but that has validated demand where you can solve a competitor's flaw. Then you pick your platform, Shopify, WooCommerce, or BigCommerce, while keeping a very close eye on those hidden fees.
Right. Then you build a storefront that is strictly mobile first, highly secure, and legally compliant across the board. You get your operations dialed in to handle shipping and returns smoothly. And you drive traffic using that triad of SEO, social engagement, and automated email.
And finally, you rely on hard data to scale up, automating the boring stuff so you can actually focus on real growth.
That is the complete blueprint. It takes this massive, scary mountain of starting a business and chops it down into a series of very climbable hills.
And the goal isn't just to be busy all the time. The ultimate goal is a business that runs efficiently without completely overwhelming your life.
Precisely. That's the dream.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 2026 e-commerce landscape, what is the one big thought you want to leave our listener with today?
You know, looking back, we've talked a lot today about tech stacks and AI and automation and data analytics, and honestly, it can all sound very robotic.
Very cold and clinical.
Yeah, but here's the thing you have to remember. In an age of AI and hyper-automation, the businesses that are actually winning in 2026 aren't just the most high-tech ones. They are the ones that use all that technology to create the most human, personalized connection with their customer.
That is really interesting, using the robots to actually be more human.
Exactly. Automation should be buying you time to be more human, not less. It should free you up to handwrite that personal thank you note, or to thoughtfully design a better product, or to genuinely engage with your community in the comments.
It's a tool, not a replacement.
Right. So the fundamental question you have to ask yourself as you start this journey is, are you just building a store, or are you building a relationship?
That is an incredibly powerful place to leave it. Are you building a transaction or a relationship? Thank you so much for breaking all of this down today. And to you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
That's it for today's Meet Sean. If this helped, follow the show and share this episode with one person who needs it. See you next time.